Hello, everybody. Johnny Disc Golf back with another interview. This time, I am joined by Team Disc Mania's Ella Hansen. How we doing?
Pretty good. How you doing?
I am doing actually pretty good as well. Honestly, I just bought like an over-the-top sized hard drive, so I've been spending the last 2 days like building RAID systems and installing hard drives. So it's been a bit of a technical process. But where are you? You're West Coast,
I'm
right?
in Seattle. I'm at my mom's house where I spent the off season. Last year. I'm here this year. It's pretty great. I'm having a good time. Yeah.
Are you playing any golf up there? What's the weather like? Is it raining? Is it cold and drizzly? What are we looking like up there?
It's raining right now, but the weather's actually been pretty nice, like, on and off. It
Hmm.
can get pretty rainy up here. But yeah, I've been playing a lot. Chandler Fry has been staying with me for the past couple weeks, which has been super fun. And uh, I've been like forcing him to go to the gym with me and get swole, and he's kind of making me play a little bit more golf. But yeah, it's been really fun.
I love it. I love that working it too. So we're about to see like shredded cut Chandler. I don't think the world is ready for that right now.
I hope so. I hope so. We're only a couple weeks in, but I think he's having a good time. It's just I love going to the
Good.
gym. I love lifting, and it's fun to feel strong. So I'm trying to instill that in him.
Well, I want to get to the gym stuff in a minute, but before we get to that, I want to talk about what I'm seeing in front of me right now, and that is your hair still with a funky color. If
Yes.
people aren't plugged in, where did it come from, and why have you had it this long? Is this like a staple from you, or are we gonna see dyed hair forever?
I don't know. We'll see. So I lost a bet to Holland uh back at Throw Pink. We made it almost a year before at Tour Champs when we were just playing a practice round. That we were gonna whoever won the first like big elite tournament would get to dye the other person's hair, whatever color. And yeah, it's the pink didn't really last. The pink faded pretty quick. And then I kind of just like went and got a haircut normally. So it's kind of just like, I don't know. It's still sort of dyed. I've
There's
been
like a
kind of
frosted
waffling.
tip energy.
Yeah, kind of frosted tip vibes right now. Which I don't know, like I kind of forget that my hair is like this, and then I don't know if the frosted tip energy is really the energy that like personally I give out. So it's kind of weird that's what people,
Yes.
first see about me, I guess. But
Uh,
yeah, I've been like waffling back and forth between kind of like re-dyeing it a different color or just like cutting it off. It's getting pretty close to long enough that I could just, do a little haircut and have no dye anymore. But we'll see. I'm not really sure yet.
Well, I like from my end, there is a time honored tradition of having like moderately dyed hair. We had Macbeth back in like 2016 era. We had
Hmm.
Eagle a couple years after that with like the dyed blonde hair. I feel like this is just the next iteration in that. So I vote it stays personally, but anyway, we'll see once the season starts.
Yeah, I honestly, I'm about it. I need to do a little bit better job to make sure that it actually like stays dyed for more than a couple weeks
Yeah.
before it starts fading. So, yeah, I might if I'm gonna do it, I'll make sure I do it right.
Perfect. I love it. Let's get back to that. What you were just mentioning before, though, the gym training off season.
Hmm.
I spoke with Holland a few weeks ago, like a month ago, and she talked about her off season training regiment, which was pretty serious. She's installing a course on her partner's family's land of some sort.
Yeah.
It's like specifically designed to challenge her weaknesses. And then I
Hmm.
look at your Instagram and you're like lifting, you're grinding, you're like squatting weight. Um, is this
Yep.
like a Rocky Ivan Drago thing where she's like lifting big logs and you're like in the gym getting like blood oxygen levels? Like, talk about the off season training. How's it been going?
It's been going really good. I mean, I have to say, I know Holland. She's out on the course, but she also lifts. She has her own gym, and she gets swole. Um, but yeah, I kind of hit the gym pretty seriously last off season, and um, definitely noticed a difference in like how strong I feel, and um, like the strength definitely carries over into the regular season, and it's just like a really good thing to do to work on like injury prevention, like strengthening different parts of your body to make sure you're not, I don't have like a weak little baby arm or whatever. um, and also it's just like it's kind of a nice like competitive like fun challenge physical thing to do in the off season for me too. Like I really like feeling strong, and like it's pretty cool like getting to add weight and um just do fun things, and know that it's also helping with my career and my disc golf play. I'm not trying to get like so swole I can't move, obviously. Not that I would do that, but yeah, it's good. I like it, and I'm doing a lot of like heavy lifts, but also like a lot of like functional movement as well, and things that relate to disc golf and rotational work and things like that. So it's pretty fun.
Well, it seems like the traditional pro disc golfers off season is like, or at least in years past, before maybe the last 3 or 4 years, is like, woof, we're off the road. It is hibernation time. I'm not touching a disc. I'm not like breaking a sweat. Half the players used to live in like icy tundra lands. A lot of people moving down south now, but is that like, does it feel like, do you feel like pressured to take advantage of the off season and train and get better? Given you are earlier in your disc golf career, is that like a focus for you to get in and train in the off season rather than maybe rest and recovery?
Sure, yeah. I mean, I think that it's a tough balance between like, you kind of have to really ask yourself and like be pretty introspective about like what you need as a player. And certainly there's times where I've felt like I didn't play for a couple weeks when I got back, and like it was just nice to like take take a breakaway from the disc, and like I was feeling really motivated about being in the gym and like having a good time with that. So I was kind of focusing that way. Um, but also like I feel like I have some pretty good data points from last off season. I was working a lot on my van, and I was still in the gym, but I didn't end up playing as much as I would have liked to. And like there was a little bit of an adjustment period on the way back, but I did well at Vegas and at Waco, and so it was kind of nice to have that data point of like, okay, you know, practicing is good, but like even if I don't practice as intentionally and as intently as I might want, I am still pretty good at this golf. Um, so it's kind of nice to be able to trust that, and then also still be able to like work on stuff in practice. And I mean, like, it's wild to see like some of the other players like still playing these big A tiers down in Florida, and it would be kind of nice to have an A tier or two over on the West Coast in the winter. Um, I would be very likely to travel to play one of those, but I'm not gonna go to Florida yet.
So you've said a couple of things in that I want to touch back on. The first one being last year you spent a ton of time on the van, building that out, getting that ready to live in. It was quite a big adventure. You got it most of the way done. We did an episode of Rigs where we showed just how maybe not done it was, but livable.
Yeah.
What's the update on the van? Is it finished now? Are you making any progress? Is it just like on hold? Where are we at with the van?
Yeah, I have like I've gotten a couple projects done on it. I mean, I have some intentional like I have a whole list of all the things I want to do. But yeah, I mean, the frame is all there obviously, and it's really just like putting in storage and kind of finishing everything off. Um, and it's kind of been a little bit on hold, just kind of trying to settle back into the off season life, and it'll be getting a little bit more focused here soon.
Good. I you need some doors on those cabinets, Ella. That's just
I
where
do.
we should start
I
there.
do. I
Um,
know. I know.
uh, let's talk about your season. We're just got off, like, I mean, gosh, it just feels like every year feels like it's somehow longer and longer. The seasons get longer and longer, but we just are off a long, grueling season. You've had a couple months to maybe let it digest, let it settle a little bit. Can you give me a 2023 in review? How do you feel like your season went? Highs, lows, overall. How do you feel like it went?
Yeah. Overall, I think it went really well. Like, I'm happy to like look, improvement in the Pro Tour standings, a lot of really good top finishes. Um, and then obviously like a lot of moments of disappointment. Um, More so for like missing like the win, or not quite achieving my goals. So I think it's an interesting perspective to like both feel very proud of like what I did, but also want to do better and to still feel disappointed in losing certain tournaments. And yeah, like it felt good to get my first like pro tour win under my belt, but like, I'd be a fool to like not know that it was a super limited field. Like, it felt good, but it didn't necessarily feel like a real big time win. So I'm I'm looking forward to next year and being continuing to compete and push and be the best player I can be.
Yeah, it felt like, I mean, you were so close a couple of times. It felt like you were on lead card like regularly though. Overall, like relative to being playing only been playing 3 years, you feel like overall success and ready to rock into 2024. Like, do you feel motivated after last year coming so close? Do you feel like, how do you feel entering next season?
Yeah, I feel good entering next season. Yeah, like I'm feel like I'm using my off season really well so far, and uh, I think like excuse me, I think one of my skills as a player is just like being able to do all the things, kind of like throw all the shots. Um, and I think, you know, I don't know where I'm going with this. Well, I think if like looking at my stats, like my biggest weakness is my putting, and so I've been working on putting a lot. It's been helpful to have like Chandler. Chandler was third in MPO putting last year, so he's a pretty good resource to have. And yeah, I've been being very intentional about my practice in that, and um, yeah, I feel pretty good heading into 24. Like, I there's certain like things I'm focusing on in my practice and continuing to get better at, but I guess besides like the putting focus, I don't really feel like there's like a big weakness in my game that I'm like, oh, I need to add this type of throw to my arsenal. Like, that kind of happened a little bit last off season now, and now I'm like really just trying to feel really confident and comfortable in those types of shots. But um, yeah, I'm really looking forward to the next season. I think it's going to be a good one.
All right. So one thing I wanted to touch on, you mentioned it a little bit earlier in one of your other answers, is that if there was a local tournament, A tier or something like that, you'd be willing to travel. But Florida, obviously a little bit further away, a long way to go just for an event. But 2024, the obvious announcement, the season is going to be starting like 50-hour drive away from you. What's your thoughts on that? As a West Coast home-based person, is that like not ideal? Are you excited about one giant road trip? Where are you at on that?
I mean, personally, it's like not the best for me because yeah, that is pretty much like the furthest they could put the start of the season from where I live. I mean, they probably could put it a little further if they really wanted to, but yeah, it obviously not like ideal for me, but I think it makes sense for most of the touring pros like living on the West Coast, or sorry, on the East Coast. And a lot of people, like you said, kind of moving down into like Charlotte area, Florida areas. So I think it makes sense logistically for most people. Obviously, it's like, yeah, it's pretty far of a drive. My plan is to drive to Texas, I think to Austin, and then fly from there to Florida and just like bum rides off people for 2 weeks. Because yeah, it doesn't necessarily make sense to like go to Texas and then drive past Texas and then come back. Just, for the van's sanity. So hopefully that is a good strategy. I think it makes sense. And yeah, I think it makes sense. I am pretty disappointed with how few West Coast events there are for next year. And I like the overall schedule changes. I think that having no more silvers is a good thing, but I am pretty disappointed that it's like it's so easy to skip the West Coast swing for like all these East Coast people, and there's not really any consequences. Whereas like for me, like skipping, like I can't skip, these Florida tournaments. I can't not go to the East Coast, and I just wish there was more of an incentive to go west. And obviously there's like a lot of people on the West Coast, a lot of disc golf fans, and I wish we could harness that a little bit more.
Well, I want to take it back a little bit from next season, and I want to go back to last season one more time before I get you out of here. The awards that were just announced. There's not a ton of topics that I'm going in lockstep with Brody on, but this is one of them. Kristin Tatar, Player of the Year, obviously, right? Nothing's wrong with that. But the issue, 85% of touring women only voted for her for number one. Now, I want names, and I want to know, be honest, Ella, were you one of those 15%?
God, absolutely not. No. Well, I seriously feel like you would have to be delusional to not vote for Kristin. I mean, she won all 4 majors. Like, I just, like, even if she won all 4 majors and nothing else, like, how could you not vote for her? I don't understand. Like, the debate between, like, Calvin and Isaac on the MPO side, like, that I kind of understood because, like, Isaac had that major vibe, going for him this year and played super well. And, like, those are huge wins. But obviously Calvin, like, super consistent, couple good wins himself. I understand, but when you look at Kristin and like, I just feel like you have to be delusional, like, in order to not vote for her. So if you are one of those people, I'm calling you out. Actually, I'm not calling you delusional, but maybe I am.
I know. I'm like, hey, delusional doesn't inherently mean you're a bad person, right? It just means you have skewed perspective,
That's
right?
True. That's true. Yeah.
I totally agree. Honestly, I can't even think of anyone that would even like. I mean, like remarkable. Like Owen had a great season. It's remarkable for her age. I love that. But like, I'm almost like going down the list of like, gosh, who just wouldn't vote for a European. I don't even like who. That's the only thing I can think of to even like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It just doesn't make sense. I mean, I think
but like Owen and Missy both had good seasons, but like, it's still not on Kristin's level. Like,
no. So. Anyway, I'm starting it now. Each person I interview, I am going to ask, and I bet you I could ask the whole field, and 100% would say they voted for her. It's like that type of thing. Like no one would cop to it at this point.
Probably not. Probably not if you're on a crusade.
All right, last question of the day. Last question of the day for you, Ella.
Okay.
It's the off season. It's hibernation mode for a lot of us, a lot of the players, a lot of people in disc golf. The writer's strike is over. There's a lot of good content coming in right now. Talk to me about the content you've been enjoying. Have you been enjoying like live sports only? Are you diving into any like the new season of The Crown? Where are you at content-wise? What have you been watching?
Yeah, that's a great question. I love live sports. I am a live sports fanatic, fiend. So I've been watching a lot of NCAA volleyball, women's volleyball tournament. That's been super fun. Always a good time. I don't know when you're putting this out, but the finals are this weekend, so that should be fun. And I don't like I used to watch a lot of TV, but I don't really as much anymore because I like doing it like on a TV, like, and I'm like on tour. I don't really want to like watch anything on my phone as much. But I just finished the last season of Sex Education on Netflix. I really like that show. That was fun.
Ooh.
And then I last night we watched American Symphony, which is about John Baptiste, who is a pianist and just a really incredible all-around musician, like tons of Grammys.
Mhm.
Has made some music with Corey Wong, and he like it was a phenomenal movie. It's on Netflix. I would highly recommend it to anyone. It was very moving and beautiful, and yeah, it was great.
Awesome. Well, I, we've got live sports all during the off season. The collegiate season is just wrapping up. We got football, basketball. We're about to enter into like prime sports season. So our live sports
Hmm.
lover in LA, you're about to be like fully serviced all off season long. That is about all I've got for this interview, though. Really, I appreciate you taking the time. There was a couple of wonky tech stuff going on the behind the scenes that you may or may not notice if you watch this interview, but we made it.
We made
Again,
it.
thank you so much, Ella. I wanted to give you a chance, though, to speak to the people, speak to the fans, anyone out there rooting for Ella. The floor is yours.
Yeah, I mean, thanks. If you root for me, I really appreciate it. It means a lot. It is like a very interesting experience, kind of going from like being on tour and like being a celebrity. I call it being a fake celebrity, and then like being home and
Yeah.
being a little more undercover. So yeah, I really thinking about the fans, appreciating them right now. And obviously shout out to main sponsors, Discmania, OTB, Pound, Whale Sacks. Thanks for keeping me going. Looking forward to next year.
I'm looking forward to it too. Should be a lot of fun, and enjoy what I always call the perfect level of celebrity. Like you get a little bit, you can go where people know you and get a little taste of it, but then you go back
Yeah.
home and no one's bothering you. You just blend into the masses. So I totally know what you're saying. So enjoy that. Enjoy a little bit of downtime, and I can't wait to catch up with you when the season gets back kicking next year. That is all I have for this interview. For you at home, if you would like interviews with all of your favorite disc golfers, make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel.